One of the main types of cameras that I use are action cameras. These are small, typically waterproof cameras that are very versatile and that you can use for a lot of things. Now, I typically use GoPro cameras, and I use them for jet skiing, snorkeling, or even just random cameras to vlog with. I've been using them for a little over 10 years now, and I have a couple of them. This right here is the first GoPro I've ever used. This is the 2014 GoPro Hero. Unfortunately, the little mounting prongs on the bottom of this camera have snapped off, which means I'm not able to mount this camera to anything. This camera was a little bit weird in the GoPro lineup because I believe it's the only GoPro Hero that is embedded into the case. Newer GoPro cameras themselves are waterproof, but older cameras you used to have to put in a case. And this camera, it has a case on it, but you cannot take the camera out. It was built into the case, which means unless I were to 3D print a cheap little mount to put around it, I won't be able to get my mounting prongs back. And I don't really trust a 3D printer with this, and I probably wouldn't be able to model a mount good enough to hold this down for extreme use. So unfortunately, this camera rarely gets used now. This was the next GoPro that I got. This is a Hero 7 Black. This camera can do up to 4K 60 frames per second, and I continue to use this camera today. This past summer, I used this camera a ton with my jet ski, and I uploaded a couple YouTube videos where the entirety of the video was filmed just on this camera. Now, when I originally got the GoPro Hero 7 Black, I also bought this Vivitar camera from Walmart. This camera is much cheaper than the GoPro. It does have much worse image quality than the GoPro, although it does film in 4K. It's not a great image, even though it is 4K. I bought this as a cheaper camera that I could be more rough with. That way, if it falls in the lake or if it takes a tumble and falls and shatters, it is much less of a loss than if I were to break the GoPro camera. And my newest GoPro is this Max 2, which I was just given this past Christmas. Now this is a 360 camera, and it's the second 360 camera that GoPro has made. The special thing about this camera is that it films in true 8K 30 frames per second, which gives you a really crisp 360 image. Now that also means that if you don't want to watch the videos back with VR goggles or by moving your phone around, when you reframe the video to, let's say, a 16:9 image, it can be true 4K, which means if I were to just take an image from this that is normal, screen sized, it would be the same quality as this Hero 7 Black. Normally 360 cameras, the 360 shots themselves look really cool and really crisp, but if you want to just reframe it and, let's say, move the camera around in editing, then you lose a lot of resolution. And yes, you're going from 8K to 4K, but 4K is still really high quality, and a lot of people today still don't even have 4K capable displays. Now, although I said that was my most recent camera, this one actually is. This is a GoPro Hero 3 Plus Black. It is the oldest GoPro I own. It's older than all the other cameras that I just showed off, and I just bought this used for $40. Now this purchase included the GoPro, an SD card, and a couple of GoPro accessories. As of filming, this camera was released 13 years ago in 2013, and even though it is 13 years old, it can still film in 4K 15 frames per second, 2.7K 30 frames per second, 1440p at 48 frames per second, 1080p at 60 frames, and 720p at 120 frames. Those specs are still pretty good today. I would not be filming 4K footage with this camera just because 15 frames per second is not a lot and it will look choppy. If you're doing a time lapse, then 4K would be usable when you're speeding up the footage to something like 30 frames per second or even 60 frames per second. When I'm using this camera, I will likely be filming in 2.7K. That way, it's still a really high resolution image. It's still a higher resolution than most people's displays currently, and the frame rate is still fast enough that it doesn't look choppy and it looks smooth. Now, once again, this camera is 13 years old, but it is still very capable. If you're using this camera today, if you decide to buy one used, or if you have one laying around, one thing that I would recommend doing is enabling Pro Tune and using the flat color profile. That allows you to have more control over the colors in editing. Now yes, that is more complicated to do. It's not just take the video out and you have a good video, you'll have to color correct it. But in my opinion, the image looks so much better if you do that. I took a couple of test videos with this camera, one with ProTune off, one with ProTune on, and I'll show the raw video with ProTune on with the flat color profile, and I'll also show that same video but color corrected, just to show the huge difference that it makes. This is a test video on the GoPro with ProTune disabled. This is another test on the GoPro 3 with ProTune enabled, hopefully shooting in 2.7K, 16:9 with the flat color profile. This is another test on the GoPro 3 with ProTune enabled, hopefully shooting in 2.7K, 16:9 with the flat color profile. This is another test on the GoPro 3 with ProTune enabled, hopefully shooting in 2.7K, 16:9 with the flat color profile. As of right now, I have not had much time to mess around with this camera, but once I'm done messing around with this camera, getting used to it, and film some videos with it, I will be back with some information. Hey everyone, it's now been a couple of days and I've been able to use this camera, take a couple videos with it, and even edit those videos. So just as a refresher, I'm using this camera in 2.7K at 30 frames per second. The reason behind that is because even though this camera can shoot in 4K, that's only at 15 frames per second, which does look very choppy. 30 frames per second is what a lot of people film with and does not look choppy at all. In fact, this video will likely be uploaded in 30 frames per second. In 2.7K, once again, I know I've already explained this in the video, is still a really high resolution. In my opinion, anything above 1080p is fine. I upload most of my videos in 1080p. Sometimes I upload them in 4K, so this sits right in between there at 2.7K. Not everyone needs 4K video. 4K video also takes up a lot of storage, where this will not take up as much. A couple things that I do really like about this camera. The weight and size, I believe, are perfect. It's your standard GoPro size, but some GoPros I find to be heavy, some of them I found to be light and feel cheap. This feels really nice. It feels really sturdy. It doesn't feel like it would break easily. It just feels really sturdy. The only thing that I find annoying with this camera is changing the battery. There's a little door that you have to use. I'll show a video of it on screen. I know that this camera is a little older, especially this has existed for 13 years now. So maybe when it was new it was easier, but I do find it challenging to open and close the door. It's just a little annoying. There is a door that is supposed to cover the SD card in USB and HDMI slot, although my camera did not come with that. I'm not concerned though. That doesn't stop it from being waterproof because you have to put it in a case for it to be waterproof. And speaking of waterproofing, that might be one of the only downsides with this camera as well as older GoPro cameras, is that you have to put them in the case for them to be waterproof at all. I would do your own research on your GoPro camera if you have one, but most newer GoPros are waterproof out of the box, as long as all of the doors are closed, obviously. They're typically not able to go very deep without having a dive case on them, but still, if you just go snorkeling a couple feet underwater, it's usually fine. Whereas these cameras cannot get wet at all without the waterproof case on them. I don't find that annoying because I always prefer to use a case on my cameras, especially when I'm in the water. For quick shots, like if I'm outside and it's raining, I can see that being very annoying, where I wouldn't want this to get rained on, but one of my other GoPros that is waterproof definitely would not mind. So overall, would I recommend this camera? Honestly, I would recommend this camera. I think that it still stands up today, even compared to the newer offers from GoPro and other competitors such as DJI and Insta360. The fact that it's 13 years old and shoots at 4K is very surprising, and even at 2.7K, it's still a little surprising. And 2.7K, once again, is plenty, especially for action camera footage. This is a very small and compact point-and-shoot camera that can capture anything that you need it to. Again, I bought mine plus accessories for $40 off of Facebook Marketplace, and there are many other used GoPro 3s and other GoPro cameras and similar action cameras for sale on the used market. Now that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed watching. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye. I had a picture in my mind. Say please and try and call my bluff. Small and compact point-and-shoot camera. Dang it. And that's the video, guys.